prepare to start in earnest your clinical work with patients, I am sure you're feeling excited about entering the phase of feeling like a real doctor. This is a real thing. Your hard work has led you through to this point. The hard work of getting to be a practicing physician, however, sometimes obscures what defines our profession and its goals. And I know you've worked really hard to get here. Let's face it, the obscuration comes from the fact that medicine's capture of the scientific progress is exciting. It is dynamic, it is seductive, and it is addicting. Just think that during my career, and yes, I'm an old dude, but you know, it happens to the best of us. During my career alone, we've gone from diagnosing Duchenne's muscular dystrophy on H&E slides with a light microscope to figuring out that dystrophin was at the center of the pathology for muscular dystrophy and the Duchenne type. Fast forward to 2015, just last year, and pharma is finalizing clinical trials of medications that can have a skip exon 51, just skip it, just reinterpret that gene, and restore some dystrophin production. The FDA right now is looking at whether or not to approve those drugs. And as we look into the not so distant future, we have models today of genetic engineering of dystrophin with genes such as with CRISPR and Cas9, which will allow us to actually reprogram the genes that make dystrophin. 40 years after my graduation from medical school, it's incredible, it is 40 years, I am still charged up by the incredibly exciting scientific knowledge that I get to read about and even apply in daily practice. But sometimes, and I know that this was at the root of Arnold Gold's launching of the Gold Society, sometimes we wonder whether technology has become our guiding energy. So it's so exciting to subscribe to all of this knowledge, to get to practice it in its own. I look at the children under my care that have been mostly fascinating cases, which really energize my work. But this gradually transitioned to an understanding and a realization of the awareness that they are individuals whose lives are a stage where I have the privilege to play a major role of love as a caregiver and as a healer. Sounds like words, but you are at that momentous turn in your careers when you are going to actually put your hands on your patients. As you know, your mother and I are passionate sailors. And when you sail, you look for the familiar channel and the coastal markings that validate your bearings. Here are some of the waypoints on the charts of my life as a physician. Here are the sightings and glimpses of the life of medicine that make me happy and fulfilled. They include family, giving, honor, humility, learning, respect, time, and love. Those are our waypoints. This is what medicine is to me. Let's go through some of these. And I promise I won't take all day. Family is number one. How about you and your siblings, my wife and my friends? Your loyalty over the years just absolutely astounds me. I am touched beyond belief that as I pursue the career that I love, Mom, you and your brothers have chosen to be thankful for the times we were able to be together as a family, rather than complain about the innumerable swim meets, tennis, and soccer matches that we missed. Somehow, growing up, you all believed that a family vacation meant going to the National Child Neurology Society. I'm always surprised that friends still want to see me and spend time with me after months and sometimes years of neglect as I decline invitations, missed birthday celebrations and graduations. Number 2, about giving. Francis of Assisi quotes have been paraphrased and translated in many ways. The most popular of which, perhaps, is his statement about giving. As he noted, it is by giving of yourself that you find yourself. Otherwise translated as, it is in giving that you shall receive. Our intense connection to others is certainly revealed as you will confront crises, and looking at you, around you, be amazed by how much others give for us as physicians to succeed. Never forget that. There are people out in the background, nurses, medical assistants, dietary personnel, physical therapists, technicians of all types, and they are the people who allow us to succeed. About honor, it's the honor of caring for others. When you and your brothers were ill, sometimes severely so, we relied on wonderful physicians to take care of you. We entrusted you, our most precious charges, to them. What an act of faith it was on our part. I marvel that patients and their families honor us, that's all of us, with that same faith. It is indeed an honor and a privilege to be led into the lives that we come across in hospitals and offices every single day. About humility. I have been humbled by the realization that many times I receive more than I believe that I have given. I'm humbled by the messages I have received after the passing of some of my patients. Messages of love and support from the family for me, thanking me for my efforts, wishing me not to feel bad for not being able to avoid the loss of their loved one. I have been humbled by thank you notes for helping their loved ones die with dignity when I thought it was just doing my job and duty as a physician. About learning. That is a big one. You get to do it on your own, you also get to do it because you're told to do it. When I was about to finish my training, I chatted with my attending, Erwin Jacobs, as we waited. I believe it was for results of anticonvulsants on the patient over in Cleveland. I confided in him that just a few weeks short of finishing my fellowship, I felt like I knew nothing. At that point, I was sure he was going to give me words of reassurance and comfort. And he said to me, you do not know anything. You're leaving us and your learning now begins. Being a physician is a lifelong learning experience. You're going to hear this again and again and again. Like sailing, my passion, again, it is a journey, not a destination. You're never going to get there. Enjoying the daily learning experience, every day can be a new one for me. Will keep you excited about doing your work and going into work every day, even though it may take a little bit of a push to get you started sometimes. Excitement about learning will help you continue to excel and expand your clinical expertise. And that is a duty that you have to yourself and to your patients. About respect. Being a physician to the sick and weak demands that we accept that as difficult as our patients may be, and that does happen at times, we're still the privileged ones, we the physicians, we the caregivers. Sometimes the aggression, rudeness, and anger are simply the expression of helplessness in the face of pathology. Everyone, without exception, and that includes all of us, deserve our respect. Conversely, never feel entitled to respect merely by virtue of your profession. You will need to earn it, and this at times at the cost of very great effort. My wife made me add those words. about time and love. I've shared this anecdote with my students many times before, and it concerns, as I look back at myself, my impatience and that of my fellow students and residents. During my fellowship training, we had developed the perception that my pediatric neurology mentor, Dr. Robert Ivan, who I absolutely love, a great man, used to run his clinics seemingly with the sole purpose of having us drop dead with exhaustion. I vividly recall one evening, it was around 6:30 p.m., when still having about 3 or 4 patients to see in the outpatient clinic, we walked into an examining room with him. And to our consternation, he did what he always did, we should have not expected anything less. He sat down. He always sat to talk to patients, none of us walking through the room. And then he began to address the patient's mother. It was our greater shock even when his first questions were not, how are little Johnny's seizures? Or did he get his blood work done before this visit? But his first question, and I've never forgotten this, was, how is your mother doing? The rest of that visit was a blur for me, as my clinic partner mumbled an excuse and left the room, never to come back. And Dr. Ives proceeded to listen to how the patient's grandmother had fared. I believe she had a stroke or some other major medical illness. And he wanted to know how she was doing. Every patient was given the time that they needed. And I needed to learn that. No matter what time it was, they got what they needed. It was only many years later that I would come to realize that humanizing our experience with patients creates bonds of affection and loyalty that produce better histories, better compliance, and allow me to ease into the more difficult aspects of patient interactions, including sometimes recommendations for surgery, discontinuing life support, and other challenging issues. Well, giving time to your patients may not appear to be that difficult, but sometimes as physicians, we will exhaust the amazing skills and knowledge that our mentors have left us. And you will have many of those skills. But even then, there is still more powerful medicine. It's left there in your hands in the form of holding a hand and caring. Finally, as you undertake your journey, let me remind you that you are on this road with a wonderful group of colleagues, medical students, residents, and other physicians. They admittedly have driven you a little crazy sometimes as you collectively are torn by angst about one test or the other to be taken, or as to whether there will be enough residency positions in the match to accommodate you. Still, engage one another, help one another, and be generous with your time. If someday I see you from my stretcher in the hospital, or meet you for my cardiology visits in your office, please smile at me. It will make me know that all is well. As I wrote these thoughts, I had planned on saying a few words about the Arnold People Society. Arnold, by the way, is a child neurologist. But to my surprise, I found that our life's journey through medicine appears to take us through the various opportunities that the society describes as humanism, namely integrity, excellence, compassion, altruism, respect, and empathy, and service. We just have to look for those opportunities and face up to them with the values that make us whole and at peace with one another, and at peace, more importantly, with ourselves. During this recent trip in the Caribbean that I was sailing through, I had a friend with me, long-standing friend, who was a retired OBGYN surgeon. And he and I were talking about what medicine meant to us. At that time, I didn't know that you were going to ask me to talk to you today. And at one point, he just said to me, being a physician, it's one